Hi everybody, my name is Kayla Brizzo and I'm here to talk to you today about using data insights to help users challenge the status quo of decision making. So before we hop right in, I'll start with a little bit about myself. I have roughly 10 years of product experience doing everything from revitalizing old products to building brand new products and pretty much everything in between that you could imagine. Currently, I'm the lead product manager at Blue Label Labs, which is an agency where I get to work with all kinds of different enterprise or larger startups, helping them to build out their solutions and essentially make their visions come to life in the form of apps and websites. Before that, I was the lead product manager at Sony Music Entertainment as part of the data and analytics team. And then before that, I was a senior product manager at Forbes, where I got the chance to work on pretty much everything that Forbes does, which was awesome. And so specifically between 2016 and 2020, I worked very closely with data science teams to work to bring data science insights into the products that we were building. Now, as I approach those problems with, okay, we're doing things, business is good, but how can we make it a little better, right? And a lot of that comes back to, well, how can we make our decision making better? Well, we can introduce or reinforce the use of data, looking back at past performance to indicate what may happen in the future. But when you're doing this, and you mentioned the word data science or AI, people tend to get a little cagey. And so there were a lot of things that I heard along the way that made me realize I needed to refine and really approach product with the data science insights in a very specific way. The first thing that I most often heard was, well, this is the way things have always been done. And I'm sure for some of you that may be a familiar phrase. I also heard, what we're doing works. Why change now? What if the change is less successful than what we're already doing? Now that's a very tricky problem to deal with because, as we all know, when working with data and building new features for products, we don't always know that what we're building will be successful or that it'll work. It takes a bit of running spikes and investigating things before we build out solutions. And so when you're approached to that question, it's hard, right? But basically, I found that when presented with those problem statements, those questions, I realized that I need to take a step back. So instead of just prescribing a solution, I needed to really understand why the status quo has become the status quo. So why is it what we're doing today? Why does it work? What doesn't work about it? And how did we get there? What was that path along the years that brought us to a specific workflow or solution or even resistance to using data, right? There's always some history there. And history is a great teacher in understanding, well, how can we move forward? And I found that it really starts with developing data-based insights that are grounded in what users are already doing and decisions that they're already trying to make. So we don't really want to upset the apple cart immediately because people get scared and then they don't want to use the products or they, just refuse to even listen to you sometimes. And so part of understanding how do we get to where we are and what are we doing now is then taking it a step further to say, okay, there's a problem we can solve. Let's anchor it in what people are doing, right? What tools are they already using? And what workflows what work are they trying to already get done? And then from there, after you introduce a solution, it's about slowly adding enhancements to those existing workflows and tools. So just slowly introducing things piece by piece until before you know it, a year or two has come by and everything is either run by data science and AI, right? Or teams are relying on data in ways that they never were before. And those three things are really pivotal in helping people understand, like our users, our target stakeholders, right? It's really important to help them understand that data science and AI is not a one-size-fits-all solution. That it's really not here to replace us. That was something that came up quite often too, was, you're just trying to replace me with a robot. No, I want the little friendly robot to help us. I want data science and AI to be a compass for decision making. So it's not here to make the decisions for us, but it's simply here to help guide those decisions and help us understand, okay, well, where are we going? How can we be more successful in the future? Now, when building data insights within products, it's really important to understand what the user's pain point is. So what do they think they know, but they're not 100% sure of? There's always something where they're like, well, I feel like this is good because it's worked in the past, but why has it worked in the past? If they're not able to answer that, then it's like, okay, well, maybe we can introduce something, maybe we can bring more data into this and help you understand how were you so successful in the past? What was it specifically in that formula that worked for you, and then how can we replicate that moving forward? And when replicating that moving forward, we want to couch the data insights and data-based decision-making tools within a product or workflow that they're already using. So it's really easy for people to ignore things that aren't in their face, right? And when we're approaching these new solutions, when we're battling those fear and that resistance to change, it's important to put things in people's way in a way that they can discover it themselves. And they can see themselves, okay, this is something that works for me. Or maybe it doesn't, and they have feedback on how to make it better. Maybe part of it works, but not all the way. And so by putting things inside or tools that they're already using, within workflows that they're already going through, it helps introduce data without it being scary, right? So it helps people become more reliant on it, be more familiar, work it into their workflow, then they want more. And so then as you're gathering feedback and metrics on how people are using it, you want to continue to iterate and improve. So we want to continually be evolving with our database solutions. We want to always be offering our users something new, something that helps push things a little further for them, or maybe addresses a secondary pain point that they have, right? We want them to know that we're listening, that we want these friendly little robots to be as helpful as possible to them in their everyday lives. Now that we know my formula for success in introducing database insights, let's look at an example of how this was done at Forbes. So along my Forbes journey, I found myself working on our content management system. And part of that was working and gathering feedback directly from the edit team to understand, okay, how can we make this tool that thousands of writers are using every day better? How can we make it more useful? How can I alleviate those pain points, right? And along the way, I was made to understand that the editors had a set of rules for headlines. They wanted to help the contributors write more friendly, SEO-friendly titles for their articles. So we want articles to be more discoverable. We want more people reading them, right? Now, rules are great, and they had written them down, they distributed them via email, we had it available within the CMS as a help article, right? Like, how do I write a better headline? But, a lot of times when you put things in front of people to read, they don't really do it, right? And so the edit team was still finding themselves having to go back and manually update those headlines, go through and read thousands of headlines in a day, and it just was this huge time suck for them, right? It was time that they could have been spent better doing, like writing their own articles, right? Or maybe chasing down a lead, or thinking of a brand new editorial focus for Forbes, but instead they were stuck just reading headlines and making sure that they followed all the rules. And so I worked very closely with our head of data science at Forbes, and as I was talking to him about this problem, I was like, there's got to be a way that we can help them check these headlines against the rules. And so the data science team was able to create a headline optimization tool that would analyze the headline and provide feedback based on what the edit team expected. So what the criteria for a good headline was, we would look at the headline and say, okay, are all the letters capitalized? Are you asking a question? All kinds of tips and stuff like that. And so when the author would they would copy and paste their headline into a website, a small microsite that we made, and we would tell them, okay, you're hitting all, you've checked off all the criteria, great. Or we would let them know what rules that they missed, and they would be able to go back and fix it. So, we introduced it. It was doing okay. There wasn't a lot of traction, but then, as I was examining the usage and we were adding, small optimizations to the tool, we realized that the people using it are power users. They relied on it very heavily, and they found it very, very useful. And it's funny because we took it down for maintenance for 2 days, and I was inundated with requests to bring it back immediately because people didn't know what to do. They were like, it was so useful and now it's not here. I hope you didn't take it away. We were able to create this robust tool that is still used today. So to summarize all of this, mostly the primary thing is we want to understand what the status quo is before providing a recommendation. We want to know where we've been so we can figure out where we're going. We want to address the pain points first. So you want to help someone alleviate a painful situation that they're in, or a workflow that's, takes them too long, like the edit team spending all those hours reading headlines. You want to alleviate that pain, which will help draw users in and help them to see the value in what you're building. Once you do that, you want to add those insights incrementally. We don't want to throw anybody into the deep end of the pool or overwhelm them with too much at once. It's all about small incremental changes to slowly adapt our users to relying and trusting on data. Then, as part of adding those insights incrementally, we want to couch them inside existing workflows and tools. You want to put them in the things that people are already looking at and that they're already using. And then finally, probably one of the most important things, is we want to continue to iterate and improve. It's not enough to simply, set it and forget it. We want to continually add incremental changes, examine how people are using it, gather feedback, examine the pain points, and just continue evolving the tool until it becomes something amazing that really changes how people are interacting with the products at work and how they're able to approach their role and spend more time on the creative things that computers can't do and less time on the mundane tasks that we can ask a robot to help us with, or an AI or data-based insight. And so I hope all of that was helpful as you go along your own database product journey. And please feel free to ask me any questions today. And if you don't get your question answered, you can feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @traveling_with 2 L's_fool. Thanks, everybody.